Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me once again for the Monday Motivational Videos, 15 minutes of inspiration with your host of the Monday videos, Shay Samuels. So let's get motivated. Let's get motivated. Every week you get motivated some type of way, whether it be by working out, whether it be by words of inspiration, by other messengers. It could be anything that you do. It could be self-help books. It can be whatever. But I'm thankful that you're taking the time out to listen to this message and get yourself motivated. At the end of every video, there's a challenge. So for you, you have to wait until the end of the video to get the challenge in order for it to impact the rest of your week. Amen. And these challenges work. You hear what I'm saying to you? I'm receiving multiple messages about how someone utilized one of the challenges. Because what happens as soon as you get the challenge, you're going to be challenged. Amen. And so thankful for you. I get the messages. I'm already going through the challenge or I've already gone through the challenge. So I know that you will make it out. Amen. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about growth. We're going to be talking about growth. This message today is all about growth. Last week, we talked about messages, someone like myself passing messages to someone like you who's listening. And then the week before that, we talked about someone receiving a message like myself and not knowing the nature of the person on the other end, how we receive them, emails, DM, messenger. So please go back and review those messages as well. It will ultimately line up to what we're talking about today. And that was not intentional. Amen. Okay. So we're going to be talking about growth today. And if you are connected with me, you know that God deals with me. He paints a pretty picture of how whatever I'm thinking should look, right? And so for this message, he gave me a plant. He gave me a plant, and I was looking at in my mind, I was looking at this picture of the plant and how the plant was actually rooted in a pot that was too small. And if you know that the plants have roots at the end of their, and I'm going to put pictures up of certain plants that I have in my house that went from here to here, right? And then there's other plants that I did not plant seed to, but then they started growing because they're intermingled with another plant or another root. A whole other message. Just stay with me. A whole other message. But anyway, I was imagining a plant, and there's a plant that I had, and it didn't take soil to stay in. It was marbles. And the marbles, you could see that the roots of this thing was growing so much that it started to wrap itself around the marble. And I didn't realize at the time, because the plant was gifted to me, I didn't realize at the time that there was a such thing as transitioning the plant to another pot. I think it's transplanting the plant to another pot that was big enough for the root to continue to grow. And so luckily for me, I was talking to somebody about it, and I caught it before it actually died. Before it didn't die. I caught it before it did die. But I was talking to someone about it, and they said you have to replant it so that the roots have more room to grow. You have to transplant it so that the roots has more room to grow. Amen. And so that just was talking to me like all week in my head. You have to get to a point where you realize that that it's time for you to be transplanted. Sometimes we stay in situations way too long, and we're thinking because we started there, we get loyal there, we get to a point where we're positioned there, and we don't want to move. But what happens, just like that plant, the plant's roots were starting to wrap around the marble that it was in. And it was not able to flourish because I wasn't aware that it needed to be transplanted into another pot. Once I transplanted that thing to another pot, I started thinking about how fast it started growing. Right. So, of course, one man plants a seed, another man waters, and God is the nourisher. Every plant, which I know now that I study them, every plant has a purpose. Amen. Every plant has a purpose. Hold on to the plant that I'm talking about right now. But I remember getting roses delivered to me. And I don't know what it was about the rose, but I started to do research because I felt like we take the rose for granted. We get them as a symbol of love, or we get them as a symbol, just this is what people do when they love you, right? And so when I got the roses, I just heard God say, there's so much more to this. And so what I started doing is I started to research the rose. And what we don't realize is certain things about it. I'll do another message on this, but there are certain things about the rose that most people who take life for granted don't even think about. But there are certain things like the rose that creates an atmosphere of growth over and over and over again. The pollination of the rose keeps certain things. The rose is designed to pollinate, and after it pollinates, it dies. Amen. And so we get all upset and frustrated about the fact that the rose is dead. We're trying to keep it alive, but unless you have the instructions of its growth, you will be disappointed because you're trying to keep these things alive past their time. Amen. Whole nother message. I don't know why I went there, but I pray that it bless somebody. But I'm going to go back to the plant. So this plant, the root started to tangle itself around the marble. So even when I was transplanting it, I had to take the plant out. I had to untangle the marble and then transplant this into another pot. And once I did that, the plant started to grow. And I didn't even realize how big the plant got before it needed to be transplanted again. There's going to be some work in your growth. There's going to be some maintenance that has to happen when you are growing. And the reality of it is that you have to start connecting yourself with people that can help you transplant. Amen. You have to be connected with people that are designed to help you grow. Yes, encourage yourself in it, but this plant needed me to help it transplant. It was a gift to me. This plant was a gift. I didn't ask for it. Someone gave it to me. And by nature, I just started to look at certain things differently when I got this plant. Why? Because I didn't see it growing. I did not see it growing. And it was designed to grow. It was designed to grow. Please, you were designed to grow. You are designed to grow. There are times where you might feel stifled like that plant and you're searching for an opportunity or opportunities or people. And so what happens is you start wrapping yourself around the marble. Just like the plant did. You start wrapping yourself around that marble and you're just trying to hold on to life. It's almost like that plant, the roots were trying to hold on to life. Naturally, it probably knew how to keep itself alive, but it needed to be replanted. And so here, this plant, if I can tell you, this plant was gifted to me. The pot was this big and the plant was about this big. It's one of those little Chinese or Oriental plants, but it was this big. And I'll put a picture up of how big it is, but how big it is now. But it's continually growing. It's growing. And it sits in my office as a symbol of growth. And when God gave me this message, that was the first thing I thought about. I thought about the plant that sits on my desk. Why? Because it's continually growing. And I can try to figure out ways to keep it standing up. And, I saw the person who actually gave me the plant a few years ago, and I told her I still had it. And she was like, what? She was so surprised. But here's the thing. We are in a process of growth. 1 Timothy 4:15 says, be diligent in these matters. Give yourself wholly to them. It's time to grow so that everyone may see your progress. It is destined for people to see you grow. How many times do you say that throughout the course of the week? I'm not growing. Mostly on your job, I'm not growing. So what you do is you start looking for other jobs, which then becomes very discouraging because you're not getting callbacks for them. But are there areas on that job that you personally can take advantage of to start growing? Do they offer classes that are free that can probably get you to the next destination? Amen. I'm not going to call my employees out, but I challenge them every day to look at their customers that they're speaking to as potential clients in the future. Because we just never know. Growth lies on the other end of every phone call. Growth lies in the midst of every handshake. Growth lies in you walking to the grocery store. If you're thinking I want better, but you're walking around the same way you were yesterday, you're never going to get there. And so in this season for this week, Here's my challenge. My challenge is for you to start growing. How do you do that? Some people are looking at this video and they're like, wait a second, I don't even know. I don't have an education. I don't have this. Let me tell you, YouTube has gotten so many people around and around and around and around the degrees. I'm not telling you not to get a degree, but what I'm telling you is that there are challenges out there for you that you personally can take advantage of for free. Find it. Find it. You can grow just in the midst of you sitting at home complaining about the fact that you're not growing. Starting off with this video you're watching has put you in a position to challenge you for better. You ever sit at home during the day and you're like, I'm overweight, and then all these commercials come on about fit, and you watch the commercials, you watch them, and you just say, I wish I could be like that. The reality of it is if you took the step, you could be. Oh, I have to eat healthier. I have to do this. I have to do that. Well, the reality of it is you could be. Amen. So this week's challenge is for you to start growing. Take yourself out of the pot that you've been in and start looking at transplanting into something bigger. Your roots are no longer wanted in the smaller pot. Amen. Your roots are no longer wanted. You are evicted from the smaller pot. I'm evicting you from the smaller pot. Amen. It is time for you to transplant yourself and grow. This week, I challenge you to grow. Take small steps. Don't look at, there's a book out there, the 12 weeks in a year. Go out and get the book. If you're not a book reader, get the audio. If you're not, just do something to start getting your brain moving in the direction of growth. Now, here's the other flip side of that, because I don't want people to be discouraged when they are trying to do it and then they fall short. It happens. Get back up and keep on growing. Amen. It happens. I'm going to be real with you. A lot of times when I was in sales, we would go out to these sales meetings on a quarterly basis, and everyone would leave there happy. Hurrah, 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 hurrah. You know, we are ready to sell. We're pumped up to sell. And within 2 weeks, we were already deflated. We had enough energy and enough motivation for us to get us through the 2 weeks, but nothing to keep us accountable. And so the millions of dollars that my organization spent on us going to these meetings, off-site training to do whatever we needed to do to be the best salespeople we are, it deflated almost within 2 weeks, and they stopped it because they noticed it was a waste of their money to do what they were doing. Amen. So I'm challenging you, 1 Timothy 4:15, to be diligent in the matter of your growth. Amen. Connect yourself with people. And that's another thing. I'll do that message next week about connecting yourself to people who can help you. Align yourself with people who can help you. But you have to first know that there's a need for it. It's time for you to grow. Amen. It is time for you to grow. So your challenge is to start growing. Look at the resources around you that can help you to just start growing. Amen. And I'm going to leave it there because I do want to give a shout out to the sister I'm celebrating this week. I am celebrating my sister in radio, Miss Paula G. Voice, Lady Wisdom After Midnight. We had an awesome time this past weekend at the taping of her 3rd season on WATC Channel 57.2 for My Journey. If you are not connected with Paula G. Voice, please connect to Paula G. Voice. This woman was so inspirational to all of us this past weekend. She already inspires me, but this past weekend, again, we grew. This past weekend, we grew. We went in one way and we came out another. We came out taller. We came out smarter. We came out bolder. We came out more creative than we were. And we were tired, but our wheels were spinning about the next season of our journeys. Amen. And so I want to say, Paula G., Lady Wisdom After Midnight, I love you. And I thank you so much for being a part of what we do, how we do it. I thank you for your vision. And And I thank you so much for being an inspiration. There's more to come for Paula G, and it's her birthday this week. So send her a shout out this weekend this week on the 17th. She will be turning the big 60. Amen. And so please, there's a lot of wisdom in that. Talk about being around people that can help you grow. There was a message she sent to me last week about being I don't want a seasoned, being a seasoned woman, and knowing in her wisdom that at times, some of their traditions can keep them feeling inadequate or feeling like, they're trying to get somewhere in a world where it's just different. So her wisdom said, I need my sister to grow. And here I'm a younger person, but we both identify the fact that there's a need, and there's some wisdom there that I learned from her, and there's some wisdom that she learns from me, but we are not afraid to grow. So that's my 15 minutes. I thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I love you. Please, again, if you're not connected with me, connect with me on YouTube at Shay Samuels, Facebook at Shay Samuels, and Instagram at officially Shay Samuels. And I pray that this video blessed you, because it definitely blessed me even while I was doing it. There's so many things still rumbling in my brain. So there may be a part 2 to this, but I pray it blessed you. Thank you so much again. I love you guys. And I'm out.